Hey everyone, welcome to EDUX Talks. Today we're going undercover in the city to meet a bird you think you know, but actually don't. This is The Secret Lives of City Pigeons, and by the end of this video, I promise you'll never look at a sidewalk strutter the same way again. I will describe this in 17 chapters. I used to walk past pigeons without a second thought, just another gray blur on a crowded corner, dodging feet and fries. And then I learned they have better eyesight than we do in some ways, can count, can recognize faces, can navigate back home from hundreds of miles away, and feed their babies a kind of milk. Yes, milk from their throats. Suddenly, the rats with wings nickname sounded a lot less like an insult and a lot more like a missed opportunity to be amazed. So grab your curiosity and let's step into their world. Chapter 1. Meet the City Pigeon. That classic city pigeon is the feral rock pigeon, scientific name Columba livia, the same species as the elegant white doves you see released at ceremonies. Dove and pigeon are just common names. Biologically, they're the same group. Their wild ancestors lived on seaside cliffs in Europe, North Africa, and parts of Asia. Ledges and crevices on cliffs were their homes. Sound familiar? Skyscrapers, bridges, balconies. Our cities accidentally recreated their ancient habitat at epic scale. Pigeons didn't invade the city became a supersized cliff. They're medium-sized birds, about 250 to 350 grams, roughly the weight of a mug of coffee. You'll notice two black bars on most wings, shiny green and purple on the neck. Those aren't dyes. They're structural iridescence created by microscopic layers in the feathers bending light. And if you're seeing lots of colors, checkered, brown, pie-billed white patches, that's domestic ancestry showing. Humans bred pigeons into hundreds of fancy varieties for centuries. City flocks are like living museums of that history, wearing their pedigree on their feathers. Chapter 2. The Hidden History We Forgot. Pigeons are one of the first birds humans domesticated. Thousands of years ago, we kept them for meat, for fertilizer. Pigeon guano was agricultural gold, for sport, for companionship, and especially for messages. For centuries, pigeons delivered critical news. In wartime, they saved lives. One of the most famous was Cherry Ami in World War I, who flew wounded to deliver coordinates that saved nearly 200 soldiers. Posters on city walls don't tell you that the bird on the ledge once carried the world's secrets. Charles Darwin loved pigeons. He bred them, studied them, and used them to demonstrate how enormous diversity can come from a single species under selection. The reason a city pigeon can look like a checkerboard one block and like a sleek blue bar the next is a living reminder of evolution in fast forward. Chapter 3. A Day in the Life. Okay, what's a typical day like for a city pigeon? Dawn. They wake up on a ledge, a beam, a bridge, or tucked in a nook under a roof. They preen, combing their feathers with their beaks, oiling them from a gland near the tail, and removing parasites. You'll often see them sunbathe with wings spread. That warmth and light help condition feathers and discourage mites. Morning. Breakfast runs. Pigeons are generalists. In the wild, that means seeds, grains, fruits. In cities, that means all of the above, plus crumbs, rice, popcorn, and anything a human drops. They also swallow tiny stones called grit, which go to the gizzard to grind food. Think of it as their internal blender. Midday. Rest, social time, and more preening. Watch the sidewalks. Males puff their necks, fan their tail, bow and circle a prospective mate while cooing. It's a full performance, like a tiny opera with a lot of chest. Afternoon. Water stops. Pigeons are one of the few birds that can suck water continuously without tilting their heads back. You'll see them sip from puddles, fountains, drips from air conditioners, urban ingenuity at work. Evening. Back to roosts. They return to the same sites night after night. Routine, safety, and memory guide them. Chapter 5. Love, Family, and Pigeon Milk. City pigeons are mostly monogamous. Once a pair forms, they court with bowing and cooing, and then they team up to build a nest, often a minimalist masterpiece of twigs, leaves, and the occasional unfortunate headphone wire. They lay usually 2 eggs per clutch. Both parents incubate. Males take day shifts, females 10 nights, for about 17 to 19 days. Here's the part most people don't know. Pigeons feed their chicks, called squabs, with crop milk. It's not dairy, but it is milk-like, a cheesy, nutrient-rich secretion from the lining of the crop produced by both mom and dad. The squabs put their beaks into their parents' mouth and drink it. It's one of the reasons pigeon parents can raise chicks year-round in the city's mild microclimate. Squabs stay in the nest for 4 to 6 weeks. Pigeons don't leave the nest helpless. When they fledge, they look like mini adults. That's why you never see baby pigeons on sidewalks. They stay hidden until they're ready. In a food-rich city, pairs can raise several broods a year. Chapter 5. Brains, Vision, and Superpowers. Let's talk senses and smarts. Vision. Pigeons see the world in higher resolution than you might expect. They have a wide field of view, excellent motion detection, and can see into the violet or near UV range. That shiny neck isn't just pretty, it may signal health under UV light. Their head bobbing while walking isn't a dance. It stabilizes their vision to give a clear, still image even while their body moves. Hearing. They hear low frequencies better than we do, possibly down into infrasound. Those deep sounds can travel far, ocean surf, wind over mountains, forming a sort of acoustic landscape. Some researchers think pigeons may use this as part of a sound map of the world. Cognition. Pigeons can categorize objects, recognize individual human faces, distinguish between letters, and even between different artists' painting styles after training. In lab tests, they've matched human radiologists at spotting certain cancer-like patterns after being trained on images. They can remember hundreds of images, count to small numbers, and learn complex tasks with remarkable persistence. B.F. Skinner famously worked with pigeons to explore learning and even proposed Project Pigeon, where trained birds would guide missiles by pecking at targets. That idea didn't fly, but the experiments showed how adaptable their brains are.
Chapter 6. The Homing Mystery. Pigeons are the original GPS. How do they find home from miles away? Map and compass. They seem to use a combination of cues. A map tells them where they are relative to home. A compass tells them which way to go. Sun compass. They can use the sun's position adjusted by an internal clock. Smell. A lot of evidence supports an olfactory map. Young pigeons learn the bouquet of local winds, the mix of odors from different directions, and later use those gradients to figure out which way home lies. Landmarks. Over familiar territory, they memorize routes and use rivers, highways, rail lines, and roof lines like breadcrumbs. Magnetism and sound. There's been debate about whether they sense Earth's magnetic field. Some studies suggest a role, but it's not fully settled. Infrasound might also help form a broad-scale map. Give a pigeon time to learn, and it will find a way. Racing pigeons can cruise around 60 to 80 kilometers per hour. About 40 to 50 miles per hour, and elite birds have returned from hundreds of kilometers away. Chapter 7. Urban Survival. How they make the city work. Cities are harsh and generous at the same time. Pigeons exploit our architecture, our routines, and our leftovers. They time their feeding to school recesses, lunch breaks, and street vendor schedules. They memorize which parks have reliable seed people and which benches have that one kind human who always shares. They share information too. Watch one pigeon notice a drop sandwich, and suddenly 30 are in on the secret. But it's not all easy. Predators do very well in cities. Peregrine falcons, Cooper's hawks, and red-tailed hawks used tall buildings as hunting perches. If you've seen a sudden explosion of pigeons into the air, twisting like smoke, that's a flock trying to confuse a raptor. On the ground, cats and cars are risks. There's also a hidden threat called stringfoot. Threads, hair, and fine wires that get wrapped around toes and cut off circulation. If you've ever wondered why some pigeons are missing toes, that's often the reason. One of the simplest ways to help is to keep threads and hair off sidewalks and around roosting sites. If you see a pigeon with stringfoot and you're trained or with a local rescue group, a careful capture and snip can save a foot. For most of us, prevention, picking up string, is the way. Chapter 8. Health, Myths, and Real Risks. Let's clear the air. Are pigeons dangerous? For healthy people, the risk from casually sharing a city with pigeons is low. Diseases like histoplasmosis or cryptococcosis are linked to accumulations of droppings in enclosed spaces with aerosolized spores. Think old attics, not open parks. Salmonella is possible if you handle droppings and don't wash your hands, but the same is true for many animals. That said, droppings can damage buildings because of uric acid, and large roosts create mess. Good management matters. If you choose to feed pigeons, know that bread is basically junk food. High carbs, low nutrients. Occasional crumbs won't kill them, but a steady bread diet isn't healthy. If you can't resist, bring a small mix of grains and peas and offer clean water. And please, never glue or poison. Those methods are cruel and ineffective long term. Chapter 9. Communication and Social Life. Pigeons talk, mostly with body language and coos. The classic bow coo is a male's courtship serenade. The tail fan and chest puff say, "Pick me." Wing clops in flight can be displays, and sudden wing whistles often signal alarm. They live in loose flocks with social hierarchies. Dominant birds get prime perches and first access to food. Watch closely at a crowded feeding spot. You can see who everyone defers to. And when pigeons take off together, they often synchronize with remarkable precision, steering as one. It's safety in numbers and a dazzling display of group intelligence. Chapter 10. Science Partners and Cultural Icons. Pigeons have quietly advanced science for over a century. Behavioral psychology, vision research, memory studies, you name it, pigeons have been model learners. Geneticists published the pigeon genome, revealing how selective breeding carved so many fancy shapes out of one species. Crests, frills, dramatic tails, and those wild head shapes you see at bird shows. Culturally, they've been food, messengers, symbols of peace, and street companions. The dove of peace is a pigeon. Ancient dovecotes, pigeon towers, dot the Middle East and Europe, built to harvest guano and meat. Modern dovecotes in some European cities now serve a different purpose: humane population control. Let pigeons nest in a managed loft, feed them properly, and replace some eggs with fakes, and you dramatically reduce mess and numbers without cruelty. It works better than endless culling because it addresses reproduction and provides a clean and attractive alternative roost.
Chapter 11. Urban Evolution in Real Time. If you look closely, city pigeons are evolving before our eyes. Darker birds sometimes do better in polluted, warmer urban environments. Pigments can bind metals, and darker feathers may be tougher. Light at night nudges pigeons to forage after dark under streetlights. Some flocks adjust their daily routes to our shifting schedules. Over generations, traits that fit the city, boldness, fast learning, the right feather colors may become more common. Evolution isn't just remote islands and ancient fossils. It's right here on the crosswalk. Chapter 12. The Ethics of Sharing a City. Pigeon numbers are tied to food. Consistent feeding in one spot can create overcrowding, stress, and mess that upset neighbors, and that backlash can lead to harsh control methods. If you feed, do it thoughtfully, small amounts scattered over a wider area, nutritionally appropriate food, and stop when the food's gone. Better yet, support managed dovecote programs and contraception like nicarbazine-based feed, which reduce reproduction humanely. Building owners can protect ledges with netting and spikes, properly installed to avoid trapping birds. City planners can design structures with less nest-friendly crevices or incorporate purpose-built pigeon lofts that keep eggs controlled and droppings contained. Coexistence isn't just a vibe, it's design, policy, and daily habits. Chapter 13. Little Things You'll Notice Now. The next time you see pigeons, watch the head bob. You'll see a hold phase where the head locks in space while the body moves forward, then a quick catch-up. That's built-in image stabilization. Look at the wings during takeoff. You might hear a clap, part display, part athletic effort to get airborne fast. Check the neck colors in sunlight. That living oil slick of purples and greens comes from structure, not pigment. It's physics on feathers. Look for pair bonds. A male and female that preen each other and roost side by side are likely a long-term couple. Notice the bathers. Pigeons love shallow water. A city puddle after rain is their spa day. Spot the homers. Some pigeons fly straight, single-minded, cutting through the air at a steady pace. Those are on a mission back to a known roost or nest. Chapter 14. Quick myth-busting. You never see baby pigeons. You do, but only when they're basically teenagers. Squabs stay tucked away until they look grown. Rice makes pigeons explode. No, that's a myth. Rice is fine. Bread-only diets, though, aren't. All pigeons are dirty. Pigeons spend a huge portion of their day cleaning themselves. Dirt comes from us and the environment they live in. They're useless. They're part of the urban food web. They've served humans for millennia, and they're superb study partners in science. Chapter 15. Their place in the city ecosystem. Pigeons move nutrients around the city, feed urban predators, and occupy a niche we unintentionally created. They're also bioindicators. In some cities, researchers have tested pigeon feathers or blood for heavy metals and found that their levels mirror what people are exposed to by neighborhood. They're little winged reporters telling us about environmental health if we listen. Chapter 16. How you can help if you want to. Keep threads and hair out of public spaces to prevent string foot. If you feed smart, small amounts of grains and peas, not bread, and clean up after. Support humane control like managed lofts and egg swapping. Don't disturb nests with eggs or very young squabs. Parents might abandon. If the pigeon is injured, contact a local wildlife rehabber or pigeon rescue group. Many cities have them. Chapter 17. A final story to carry with you. I once stood under a bridge at sunset, watching a flock tuck in. A male arrived with the twig, just one, placed it perfectly, stepped back, admired his work, and then tried to present it proudly to his mate. She inspected, made a few adjustments, and together they repeated that ritual, twig by twig. Cars roared above, sirens blared in the distance, and below them a pair of birds built a home with patience and teamwork older than the city itself. That's the secret life of city pigeons. Ancient instincts, modern savvy, and a quiet resilience that lets them thrive alongside us. If this changed how you see the birds on your block, take a second to share that feeling. Tell someone one cool pigeon fact, the milk, the memories, the message-carrying heroes, and watch their face light up. Wonder spreads. I'm glad you spent this time with me here on EDUX Talks. If you enjoyed it, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment with your best pigeon observation or question. And the next time a gray bird steps aside to let you pass on the sidewalk, give it a nod. You're sharing the city with a master. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.